What if I told you Stranger Things is not just a TV show? That the monsters, the psychic kids, the portals, all come from real experiments your government tried to erase. Tonight, we're going deep into 5 real experiments that inspired Stranger Things, and the terrifying truth the world was never meant to see. After World War II, US intelligence agencies grew obsessed with interrogation, brainwashing, and whether chemical or psychological tools could control minds. The CIA created a covert program, later called MK-Ultra, to research drugs, hypnosis, sensory deprivation, and other methods to manipulate behavior. The program ran in the 1950s-60s and used universities, hospitals, and private contractors as test sites. This is documented in CIA declassified files and a Senate investigation. MK-Ultra funded researchers to test LSD and other drugs on unwitting or consenting subjects. They studied hypnosis, isolation, audio-visual stimulation, and combinations of drugs and sensory control. Some experiments were cruel, dosing patients and prisoners without proper consent. The aim was to find ways to break resistance, extract information, or produce programmable subjects. While most documented MK-Ultra experiments involved adults, prisoners, psychiatric patients, stories about children and adolescents being targeted exist in public law and in allegations tied to other programs. The documented part is the unethical use of human subjects and the secrecy that allowed abuse to occur. That secretiveness is what directly inspired the concept of children with powers being experimented on in Stranger Things. MK-Ultra's records were destroyed in the 1970s on orders from CIA leadership. But enough documents survived FOIA and congressional inquiries to prove it existed and was abusive. Public hearings in the 1970s exposed parts of the program and led to reforms. The idea of a clandestine lab experimenting on minds using drugs and sensory manipulation is the clearest factual antecedent to Hawkins Lab. Why this links to Stranger Things? MK-Ultra gives the show a real-world anchor, ethical violations, secret funding, and the government's willingness to weaponize psychology. Eleven's drugged isolation, sensory tests, and the figure of a scientist willing to do harm mirrors MK-Ultra's documented patterns. Remote viewing is the idea that some people can perceive distant or hidden targets, locations, objects, events, using psychic ability. In the Cold War, the US intelligence community worried that the Soviets might be working on similar things, so they funded research into whether remote viewing could be applied to spycraft. From the 1970s through the 1990s, programs hosted at Stanford Research Institute, SRI, and elsewhere ran experiments with alleged psychics. The US Army's Stargate project pooled multiple studies, and the CIA later reviewed the work. The official evaluation found no proven psychic mechanism and concluded the program was not operationally reliable. The program was declassified and closed in the mid-1990s. Remote viewing sessions typically involved a sitter attempting to describe a target sealed in an envelope or a global coordinate. Some sessions produced surprising hits, others failed. Evaluations showed the methods were not consistently reproducible under controlled conditions. Despite this, stories of hits, successful intelligence coups, and dramatic sessions circulated and fed conspiracy-minded interpretations. How this influences Stranger Things vibes. Remote viewing feeds the show's supernatural intelligence angle, a hidden project trying to weaponize human perception. Instead of telepathy used for spying, Stranger Things uses telekinesis and psychic portals. But the narrative logic is similar. Search for human abilities, secret funding, and an intelligence service that experiments on people in the name of national security. The Montauk Project is a modern conspiracy story that first became widely known through Preston Nichols' 1992 book, which name was The Montauk Project Experiments in Time. It claims Camp Hero, a real Air Force base in Montauk, Long Island, hosted secret government experiments in mind control, time travel, teleportation, and portals. These claims are largely unsupported by credible evidence and are widely regarded as conspiratorial fiction. The Montauk narrative describes psychological manipulation, hypnotic programming of children, interactive time experiments, and bizarre creatures. The sensational elements are almost identical to the show's plot beats. Montauk stories include names, dramatic episodes, and survivors who claimed horrific experiments. But the primary sources are self-published memoirs and interviews rather than official records. Camp Hero is an actual decommissioned military site with wartime radar towers and a Cold War history, which gives the myth a believable physical backdrop. Visitors describe the eerie installations and old radar facilities, which helped the Montauk story feel real to fans and tourists. The Duffer Brothers originally used Montauk as a working title for Stranger Things, and the show's early concept borrowed the vibe and conspiratorial imagery even while fictionalizing it. Why this links to Stranger Things? Real military infrastructure existed at Montauk. The extraordinary claims, time travel, interdimensional portals, children used as psychic soldiers. Montauk is an example of how a little fact plus a little imagination can create a full-blown myth that feeds pop culture. Stranger Things openly borrows that conspiracy energy without claiming the Montauk book's literal truth. The Philadelphia experiment story alleges that in 1943, the US Navy performed an experiment to make a destroyer escort invisible, with results ranging from temporary invisibility to teleportation. Claims that the ship teleported from Philadelphia to Norfolk and back, causing crew injuries and worse. The tale originated from letters in the 1950s from a man later identified as an unreliable source. The US Navy and naval historians have debunked the story. Records and technical realities show the USS Eldridge was not where the story claimed, and the physics described are impossible given known technology. The Navy labels it a hoax, and mainstream researchers trace it to sensational letters and misinterpreted stories. The Philadelphia experiment contributed to the cultural stew of secret military science and hidden tech that Stranger Things taps into. The show doesn't replicate this story literally, but it leans on the same trope. A government lab tries to bend natural laws with dangerous, uncontrolled consequences. That sense of scientific hubris goes straight from Philadelphia hoax to Hawkins Lab's bedside. Extraordinary claims need extraordinary evidence. The Philadelphia experiment is an entertaining myth, but it's a cautionary tale in media literacy. Similar-looking stories can feel real because they're told with confident detail and anchored to real institutions. The Russian sleep experiment describes Soviet scientists in the 1940s locking political prisoners in a sealed chamber and forcing them to stay awake with a stimulant gas for 15 days, which leads to monstrous physical and psychological transformations. The tale is graphic and horrifying, perfect for internet sharing. A horror story created and spread online, first appearing around 2010 on the Creepypasta Wiki. Investigations by journalism and fact-checking outlets show it's fiction. There are no credible historical records supporting the experiment. Snopes, Newsweek, and others have debunked it as modern folklore. The Russian sleep experiment shows how modern myths form. A lurid narrative plus reposting equals reality in the eyes of many. Its themes, sleeplessness, bodily horror, human experiment gone wrong, map neatly onto monster narratives and inform the darker imagery of Stranger Things. Use it as a filmmaking viral lesson. Plausible details and graphic imagery make fiction spread like fact. What's definitely real? MK Ultra and the remote viewing programs are documented, funded, and investigated government programs. They show real government interest in mind manipulation and psychic research during the Cold War. What's probably false or unproven? The Philadelphia experiment and the Russian sleep experiment are hoaxes, urban legends with little or no credible evidence. Montauk is a modern conspiracy book series with sensational claims and no corroboration. Why fiction echoes reality? Real abuses and secret programs create fertile ground for myth. Once you know MKUltra happened, it's easy to imagine worse things. The lack of transparency plus Cold War paranoia produced both real programs and wild stories, and Stranger Things sits exactly in that scene.